Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on wherever you are joining from. Thank you for taking time to attend. On behalf of All India Oracle Users Group, a very warm welcome to Sangam 20 Virtual Conference, Festival of Oracle. It is already a week two, session one. And before I introduce to our today's keynote speaker, I would like to cover a brief overview of Sangam 20 and a few housekeeping tasks. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but just to remind, there's a gap of 3 days, right? So as you can see, Sangam 20 is a 12th anniversary and 12 days of festival. We are bringing best of Oracle technology to you. It is a 3-week festival, and we have 100 plus speakers joining across the globe. We worked hard to get a new content, new speakers to our Indian Oracle community. We have introduced new themes like rapid fire sessions and fireside chat sessions and community and many more. So today we have number of expert speakers are joining across the globe. Do not miss any of these sessions. Like many speakers are joining in terms of application side of it. This is one of the important slides of Sangam 20. Take a screenshot of this slide and post it in Twitter so your connections also can join Sangam 20 sessions. Not only that, you will make a new connections during Sangam 20. Search for Sangam 20 hashtag. Remember, knowledge is power as long as it is shared. Do not say with you, share with others. So few housekeeping tasks. We invite you your comments, questions. Please look at Q&A bottom of your screen. Please ask your questions speaker at any point of time. In the Q&A only, speaker will answer appropriately. Please prepare your questions properly before asking, and also you can use chat box for any support. And I think we have already covered use AIOEG Sangam 20 hashtags in Twitter. And also we will upload the presentation material. We are in process of collecting the previous week presentation you will see very soon. And we run a quiz for keynote sessions, so be ready with your mobile phones to scan the QR code. Provide feedback at end of the session, that is also important. So with that, very warm welcome Vishal Singh. If you don't know, Vishal Singh is a vice president of development for application technology group for Oracle Business Suite. His responsibilities include application object library, application technology stack, lifecycle management, Oracle application framework, and the integration products.
Sorry to interrupt. We can't see your presentation.
Oh, sorry, absolutely. Um, One second. Sorry for that. Can you see now, Vinay?
Yes.
Okay, so apologies for that. Sharing only the previous, deck. So basically, Vishal also leading the efforts of running Oracle Business Suite on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. He has been with Oracle Business Suite team and Oracle for last 20 years. Vishal also have three patents, and Vishal is BTech in electrical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. So with that, a very warm welcome, Vishal Singh. Thank you so much for taking valuable time and spend with us today. So please go ahead and share your presentation.
Thank you, Sai, for the nice introduction. Good morning to all of you, and good evening wherever you are joining. We don't know where you are joining from. We hope that we will be able to meet, have these conferences in person in the future. But let's go with the moment, with the time, what we have. Hopefully this pandemic gets over and we instead of virtual conference, we are in a physical conference. So thanks for the introduction, Sai. And what I'm just a introduction is already given by Sai, but I wanted to just sort of that I've been with the e-business suite, so it's like a part and parcel of life for a good amount of your 20 years. So that's what my background is. So I will be able to handle the questions towards the end, but we'll take those questions. So to start with, we are going to be covering the strategy and updates from e-business suite. What are we doing? What are the continuous innovation we have been doing over the years? And then help you with some of the strategies you may want to deploy in your decision making while looking at upgrades, while looking at which version of e-business suite you're running, how to move to the latest version, where is the support timelines, all that we'll be covering in the strategy update today. So with that, uh, first of all, we look at where are we making overall strategy investment from an e-business suite development perspective, what are our ongoing investments, and then we'll have some takeaways towards the end. So with that, I start with the first that we have. If you look at the investment areas from
Vishal, sorry to
Apologies.
interrupt. I think your screen is not shared.
sorry about that. Is it shared now? Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So we broadly you can divide the investments into three different areas in e-business suite, which we are working on. One is that we are trying to improve the experience of the user interface. That's one area of investment. We have second is the functional innovation, where we drive the investment based on the customer request which we keep getting. And then the third we are focusing is the operational efficiency. Now we are going to jump into the details of all these three areas one by one. So we'll start with the support timelines, because that's very critical for us to understand that how these innovations are happening over the years. So if you see the release of 12.2, we started almost like way back in 2013, and you may see a pattern that we are almost releasing an update on 12.2 on a yearly cycle, and that has been a pattern. We just released the 12 to 10 in the September, 12 to 9 just before the open world last time. So it has been a pattern that we are able to make yearly updates to the e-business suite releases. And on top of that, we are also ensuring that some of the areas where we think that we bring modernization to the user interface, especially like our ECC command center, where we have a lot of new interfaces, new ways of doing business. We are bringing those enhancements to you you can see on a almost like on a 6 monthly basis. So that has been a pattern. You can see that we are investing in e-business suite, making sure that its features are improved based on the request we are getting. Now, looking at some of the support timelines, this is very important to understand, because right now we are in 2020, but if you see, we have already made an official commitment to have premium support of e-business suite, which will last till 2031. But it's like a rolling support for us. So if we have like a 12 to 11 coming out, then you can add 10 plus years from that onward, and then that's the cycle which keeps going. That's why we call it a rolling 10 plus year support. It's a premium support. But if we do decide to, let's say, in a certain version of the e-business suite, we are not going to be enhancing e-business suite, then still you have got 10 years to figure out what your transition path from that point onward would be. So just to make sure that you have that clear, that there's a 10 years window, we already have a commitment till 2031 for 12.2 to be supported, and it will keep changing every year. We'll keep announcing what's the next window for the premium support to be extended. Now, if we compare this release cycle 12.2 with the 12.1, where we need to pay a little bit more attention, is that 12.1 was almost started way back in the 2000, almost like it has been like almost like a 15 years, 12 plus years window for GA for the 12.1. Now that premier support is ending by the end of 2021. Now, that's very important to understand, because somewhere you have to start making decisions or start planning that how you want to get out of the 12.1. But still you have got some time, and we even have a market driven support with some extra fees available, which will allow you to do 2 more years of extension. But that window is certainly for you to look at from in terms of like how do you migrate out of e-business suite 12.1. Either you can go to the 12.2 of e-business suite, or you can look at SaaS application. But that planning has to happen to make things work out, because these are longer upgrades, and moving to a new application could be a long cycle of investment for you guys. So if you look at beyond 12.13, beyond December 2021, so what do we have? We have an advanced ACS contract which is available, and that will extend for you till 2022 and 2023. That's on additional fees. But what you can get is that what will help you with is that you are taking your project and trying to either move to the 12.2, upgrading to the business suite 12.2, or moving to one of the SaaS applications. So we'll help you during the transition state, which means that severity 1 and severity 2 bug fixes along with the security updates will be provided, but we have a minimum code line requirements, because when we have to support the products, it's important that we have certain minimum code line patched for certain product areas, and that's available in the MetaLink note, which is, or the document which is shared below. And also we have certain minimum infrastructure requirements, like what kind of application server, what level of OS you are running. Those are the minimum requirements for you to get an MDS support. At the same time, we looked at some of the product usage, and some products are excluded from the MDS. So it's very important for you to also look at that, what is excluded. Most likely, or most of you should not be those products may not be used, but in case they are, then it's advisable to look at the document and make sure that you don't have those products. And if you do have, then you have a transition way out of those products, because they are not going to be a part of MDS. The price for the MDS is a tiered service, that if you are logging more SRs and your volume is higher, obviously you pay a little more compared to the SRs generated by a small footprint, then the price is accordingly less. Now, coming to the important portion of the database side of the business suite, because that's very important, because we had like 11.204, then we had 12.1 of database. Now, currently we are supporting 19C. So as far as the database is there, you are on the latest and the greatest, which is certified. So both the versions of Business Suite 12.2 as well as 12.13 supports 19C. We have specific interoperability nodes which are available for both the releases, and those are mentioned in the document both for 12.2 and 12.1. So strongly advise, we have customers upgrading at least the database portion to 19C, and I will cover that in our slides going forward, why it is important. So let's look at the ongoing investment we are making. The first area of investment is the user interface. Now in the user interface, we can broadly classify the user interface into 2-3 areas. One is your enterprise command center. Another is enhancements we are making to the HTML UIs. And then the third area is the mobile application, which we have been investing in. So I will start with all the 3 areas are important, because the way you have to look at it is that enterprise command center and the enhanced HTML UIs are available on the 12.2 release, but mobile application is one area which is available on 12.3. So if you are coming from 12.3 upgrading to 12.2, you get the first 2, which is the enterprise command center and the enhanced HTML UIs. But mobile application keeps going on. But if you are just on 12.3, you don't have those 2 options available to you. So let's look at the enterprise command center. It's an information driven navigation. It's a very good user interface. You will love it. We have just to give you an idea, we have a session coming right after this session taken by one of my colleague Mohanath, and he will be going deep into the enterprise command center and going through all the use cases. So I will leave different things for him to cover, and I won't go too technical into it. I will strongly recommend for you to attend that session, because this is one of the critical investments we have made in the e-business suite in the last 2 years. So what is the enterprise command center? It's like, so far you have been used to looking at doing actions based on the reports you generate, or you go to a user interface and then you put some key parameters and then you try to pull the information. That's the pattern which has been there. Now, this is all changing with the enterprise command center, because you have a business kind of a business dashboard which is available to you. You have an actionable business dashboard, which is like, let's say you have invoices, and in the invoices you want to see what are the outstanding invoices. Now, those could be in two different categories. They could be like invoices which are just few days in the payment has not been made, or those invoices could be the payments which are like due for a long time. So you want to drill down, you want to look at the reach to the right invoice, and then call up that customers and then act on it. Those are the kind of things we are talking about when we say that these are actionable indicators. The interface is almost like what you see on Amazon and other places, which is like you can do search filters, you can put it, you can increase the criteria, and your graphical user interface, the graphs are displayed and recalculated every time you change your criteria. So it's more like a conversation you're having, and then it takes drill down to your action, which means that it can take you to the transaction page, and you can act on that transactions based on the parameters you are looking at. Now, what we have done is that we have taken this enterprise command center and pretty much implemented across the board in eBusiness Suite. So I cannot really go into all of them, but Mohan's session will certainly cover a lot of these things. So we have command center for financial management, order management, asset lifecycle, and in different areas. So 30 command centers with 100 plus dashboards are available across the eBusiness Suite. Now, this one is Enterprise Command Center is available right from 12 to 4 and above, and there's no license fee for it. It comes free with the eBusiness Suite licenses. And the good part is that this is not like any other business intelligence dashboard, third-party dashboard. It is integrated with the business user interface, which means you can go back from the Enterprise Command Center into your OASTML UI and then back and forth, and your all security context is maintained. So the security policies which applies in the OA framework are the same ones which are carried out in the eBusiness Suite in the Enterprise Command Center. It supports multiple languages, as well as this Enterprise Command Center is extensible so that you can add your own data points to manage some of the things you're looking at. Other investment area we have been doing is more on the enhancements to the HTML UIs. Now, this is most of our screens are based out of this. In HTML, we have both kind of interfaces, the forms and the HTML. So what are we doing on the HTML side? Now, we have enhanced the colors and the styles and simplified the home page. You might see it over here. It's like all these are the new home pages we have. And looking at the details, like these home pages are, you have an ability to change the skin of these home pages. So you don't have to stick to the color scheme which we have provided out of the box. We have like some of the skins are coming out of the box, but you can create your own skin if you want, and you can change your background color, border color, prompt properties, all of those you can change. So this is one of the enhancements we did some time back, and this capability is available. Also, looking at the homepage improvements, what we did is like we have a navigational. If you look at the left-hand side sandwich menu button, where you can easily go to the responsibilities quickly. You have favorites which are appearing at the top, settings where you can change things. You have got the work list notification which comes in. The regular things are available, which you typically see in the OA framework-based homepage. Other things we have done is that typically you access your favorites. So any of your pages which are there, you can mark them as favorite by just clicking on the star button. The experience is pretty much like the modern user experience. And our goal here is to make sure that eBusiness Suite, we can make the user experience as close as possible to the one which is currently being out in the market. Now, other thing which we have done a huge investment in the eBusiness Suite on the HTML side is that we have taken the user interface and made sure that the interface is not only rendered in the laptop and the desktop, but the same thing can also be uh, rendered on a tablet. Now, these are fundamentally very exhaustive work for us because e-business suite, as you guys know, this product is developed quite a number of years back, and the stack is also different. So pretty much we have to build all these layers right from the ground up as far as the rendering is concerned. So we have made it available for the tablets. So what it means really is that the form factor which you have for the tablet, and the layout will adjust to the tablet form factor and accordingly render the things. You may not see it nicely being done on the phone interface still, because that's like heavy design pages of order management and all. Making that all work on a mobile really requires you to make things happen from ground up in terms of the design. So tablet option is there. We are looking at how we can make things happen on the mobile, but that's little far away. So today the form factors can be adjusted for the tablet devices. Now, one of the other areas we put the investment in is that a lot of times what happens is that forms, you have to go back from forms to the OA framework pages and back and forth. So a concentrated effort has been made in the development cycle that wherever you are transitioning from the forms to the OA framework, we are trying to convert those applications into the OA framework itself. So you don't go back and forth in terms of switching the context or switching the application interface. So we have been making, it doesn't mean that our forms are going away. Forms are going to be there till the e-business suite lives. But it's just that we are making some of the areas, picked up some of the areas where the experience can be made better. So some of these things you can see in order management area, supply chain areas, you will see a better experience because most of these are in the forms area, in the OA framework area. So you may want to evaluate it, that if you have been used to of using forms, if there are some enhancements which have come in and you have the new HTML pages, your experience can be much better if you shift over to the HTML application. Coming to the mobile applications, now in case of mobile application, as I was explaining, mobile applications are available from 12.13 and both in the 12.2 versions. So especially I will take few examples like mobile asset maintenance. So you have a service engineer who is on the road and he needs some spare parts and he needs to go to the site and then update the request and then maybe make some adjustments. So these kind of mobile application needs to work both in an online and an offline fashion, which means when you're in a remote area, you want to make certain transaction changes, but you don't really have the connectivity. So you work in an offline mode and come back whenever the connectivity is in place, you sync up with your main system and then update the system. So these applications, especially the asset maintenance and the field service, they support both offline and online mode. So this is one of the areas we invested in. Another area we invested is in the supply chain apps. I'm picking a few examples. You will see more in the detailed what mobile applications we have. You can go to the relevant document. But in case of, let's say you are running maybe a inventory, or you are doing a warehouse kind of an application where you have QR code or barcode scanners, and you can use a mobile application to scan those QR codes and barcode, and the applications will automatically populate multiple fields for you. So it will read from this information and then update your user interface with the multiple fields getting updated at the same time in a single scan. So that's part of the some of the applications we have built. Another we have looked at is the approvals. This is one of the applications which is widely used across the board, and you have approvals from various application modules coming into the approvals. So you may have like an expense approval, you may have like other approvals, leave approvals, all of those coming into picture. So for a manager, you have all the approvals coming at one single place, and then you can act on those pending approvals with a click of a button. You can say, I want to just look at it and then approve or reject, and then accordingly it acts on that. So those kind of applications we have developed. It's a popular one for approval. If you want to look at this, certainly we would encourage you to look at. Another one is the mobile self-service. This is more meant for self-service areas, especially for managers who wants to quickly look at their employee information, look at their like when are they absent, if you want to look at their data, and then also employees can view their pay slips. So these are different use cases we picked up which are most widely used, and then made enhancements accordingly in those areas. In the mobile time cards, there is a special investment we made in terms of making sure that the time cards can be viewed in a nice way. But if you have a rules evaluation engine embedded with it, then it gives an interface where you allows it to see that what are the overtimes and other things entered into the system. So this is another application we have. So that was on the interface side. Now coming back to the functional innovation we have done in the respective areas, it's a big slide. I mean, it's like a lot of investment which has happened in the 12.2 application over the years. And obviously we can't cover all of that in the presentation right now. But you can broadly see that it's being done in most of the areas across the board. Now, one question which keeps coming is that what is the criteria are we using to make these enhancements? So what we have is really a My Oracle support community where we have the ideation process, which where what it means is that we have more like a social environment where you can create a new idea, and then you can vote that idea up or down, or make sure that basically provide your voting so that we get to know that which idea is the most popular one. You can put your feedback on that and you can bookmark all of that. So it gives us an idea that what are the enhancements which are being requested by the customers. And what you see is that this is since it's a social environment, we have seen that we've got roughly around 6,000 ideas coming out of this exercise on the ideation process. And out of that, roughly we have 21,000 users engaged on that. Now, if you see what is the benefit out of this, what we did is when we look at this data and try to drill down, then we realize that 3% of the ideas are the ones which have 20 plus votes, which means that we see that 20 plus customers interested in that idea, which gives us which gives a very narrow view for us to filter down all the enhancements or the requests which we are getting, that which ones should the development be working on. So we see 3% which has 20 plus votes, and then we see 5% which has 10 to 19 votes. So that's the broad classification. But if you look at it from a development angle, we have to make certain decisions in terms of investment. So what we see is that the 3% which are there, if we can pick up those, because those are the most votes we have, that's the criteria we are using to look at what kind of enhancements we are making in the e-business suite. So from a delivery point of view, we have like 35% of those 3% delivered as ideas, and these itself are accounting to a huge number for us. Like in terms of enhancement, these are 5 plus 100 enhancements we are talking about in the e-business suite, driven purely out of the request which has come purely from a customer community. So to give you an idea on what are these investments in terms of the voting scheme. So we got like, if you see a pattern, you might see that it is not a deliberate attempt, but you will see that 12 to 10, 12 to 9, 12 to 8, we picked up the top enhancements where we had the top voting, and we made that as a part of a development exercise. So order management, we had to upload the sales order kind of an application which had 32 score. We picked up that in 12 to 10. Similarly, we are picking up as we go in releases, we keep picking up the top voted ideas and then put it into the development cycle. So I would strongly encourage that you also have a look at it. If you have some things which is in your mind and you have few other customers backing that requirement, you may want to vote for those ideas which are already collaborated over there, or you may want to create your own idea and let us know. And if we see that it's hitting the top 3%, then most likely chances for us to get picked up for development work. So just wanted to share that's the operational part of how we pick up the enhancements going forward. The third area, which is the investment area for us, is the operational efficiency. Now, this is critical because what we want to really do is that make sure that the e-business suite which you are running, you can have a lower cost of operation because we are talking about a window of almost like 10 years, so 11 years of, like if you do decide to be on e-business suite, then you're looking at a 10-year window to maintain the application or to run the application. And we need to do whatever we can to reduce the cost of operations for you guys. So we have taken this area as a concentrated area to make an investment. So if you see in 12.2, the signature feature for 12.2 was really the online patching. Now, it may not apply to a lot of customers, but it does apply to a lot of customers who have global operations, which can't afford a downtime in terms of patching. So since we have an online patching, it allows you to keep doing your patching of your application, and then you have a brief window of maintenance where you say that I want to bring down the application and restart the application, which is a predictable window, and then you can have a cutover during that time happening. So your critical business operations are running most of the time during the patching cycle, and then you can have the revenues coming in during that window. You don't have to shut the business down, but you take a brief time out when the application has to really go down in terms of the cutover, which happens when you have to switch from a patched application to a run application. So let me explain a little bit. I mean, you guys might be familiar because it has been repeated in multiple. We have been giving this message for a long time. So, but it is a signature feature of eBusiness 12.2. So we need to reiterate from time to time. So we had this feature from the database called addition-based redefinition. We leveraged this feature. And essentially what that feature allows us to do is that we can maintain multiple copies of the database schema, which means we can have an old edition, and then we can also have like a run or a patch edition. So we can create multiple editions at the same time. So your business users are connected to the run copy of your schema or the edition. And then your patching cycle, which is typically what the database administrator will be carrying out an activity, is in the patch edition. And then what happens is that your online users are running the application. The patching cycle could be quite huge, because if you, let's say, applying a family pack or you're applying a big patch, it can take some time for you to apply that patch. Your application can continue to apply the patch. Your application is still online. You're not bringing down the application, but during the cutover, when the patch application has finished and you are all set, that things look good, then you can do a cutover so that the new patch edition becomes the run and run becomes the patch. That's how the whole model works. So there's a short downtime window, predictable, which we call it as a cutover, which is required for your online application to switch. So in terms of the flow, we really have 5 steps. And we start, let's say you decide to do a patching cycle. So what we do is we prepare your system by making a copy from your run system. And what we do is make a copy of your run and make it as a patch application, and then apply your patch with a family pack or any one of which you're doing in the patched application. Now, after the patch application has been done, we finalize that, because we have to make sure that any objects which are in the invalid states are compiled and we have everything looking good. Then you decide that when you want to really switch from this patched application code base to the run code base. So that is the cutover window we are doing, and that in the cutover, we are really restarting the application so that the new edition can take effect. So your connection comes down from the run edition, and then they switch over to the patch edition, which takes over as the run edition. So essentially, it's around like WebLogic server coming down, your connections being taken off, and then your new connections being given back. That's the cutover window we are talking about. And most of our community in the DBA world will know what that cutover would be. And then once the cutover is done, then you do a cleanup activity to make that happen. So this is the patching cycle window, which we take care. And this is online. So your users are really offline during the cutover window, and rest of the patching cycle is all like online. You don't have to really bring down. So imagine if you have a global operations, this is a very useful feature for a lot of our application where we need to minimize the downtime, not that we cannot afford, but minimize it as much as possible so that the impact to the business is as minimum as possible. Another innovation we have done, and we have been looking at that, is which you will see in the EBS 12.2 lifecycle, would be how we take the tech stack forward. Now we are, as you know, we started with eBusiness Suite 11.5.10, and that was on a very early version of IIS, which some of you might remember, it was 1022. And then we moved over and upgraded. You had to upgrade an application really, and that requires your rapid install to come into picture. And for laying out, because we have a new application server 10G and you've got a new code base of 12.1, so you have to lay out that whole code base, and that's where the rapid install has to be carried out. So you do that, and then we were doing patching on top of this, like 12.1.2, 12.1.3, and all the applications upgrades were happening on top of it. But this was a big upgrade which you had to undergo from 11i to the 12.1. And similarly, when we did another way, was the another application version we brought in 12.2, which was Fusion Middleware 11G, a similar upgrade exercise had to be carried out. And you had to again do a rapid install, which means you're pretty much, if we started with 12.2.0, laying out 12.2.0, then you had to apply on top of it the updates which we are giving, like 12.2.7 or 12.2.8. And these all requires an upgrade to happen. Now, this we want to change going forward. What it means is that after 12.2, 12.2.10, and maybe in a future release, we are working on it. But basically what the idea would be that we will upgrade your Fusion middleware tech stack. Your application code won't change. So you don't have to go through, and database won't change. So you don't have to worry about the application code. You don't have to worry about the database upgrade. All of those problems are gone. What we are going to do is just make sure that your Fusion middleware stack is changed from your existing middleware 11G to a new middleware 12G, and then your application keeps continuing. And how we go about doing it is that you can pretty much think of it as how we do the platform migration. In the platform migration, we take your code base, which you are running, we ask you to provide all those files, and we take those files and regenerate them on a new platform and give it back to you. Similar kind of an exercise we are looking at over here, that we will take the version of the code, which means all your customization, everything will remain intact. We'll take that code base, we'll give you the compiled code, which is available from like a platform. It will be available on the new middleware stack, and then you apply it, and then your database and other code base remains the same. You don't have to worry about those kind of changes. So no more rapid install to be used if you're going forward. So that's the strategy we are going to use going forward. And then all the application releases on top of it will come after that. So 12.2x, 12.2.11, whether it's 12, it's going to be in one of the releases. It's difficult to say when we'll be able to complete the work. But right now we are working on that kind of enhancement, so we can upgrade the stack seamlessly for you, and you worry about the application code layer, not the tech stack which is underlying, which requires an upgrade typically. So most likely this is the last upgrade you have to undergo, and then you don't have to do an upgrade in terms of your business suite. And then you are on, so for that you have to be on 12.2. This enhancement is going to be only on 12.2. Now, the other area of investment we have been doing is from an Oracle cloud infrastructure. So we leverage in eBusiness Suite, we have been leveraging the cloud infrastructure heavily. And that's the one area we have been putting quite a big amount of investment to bring down your cost of operation. Now, in terms of cloud, we look at it from a different angle. I mean, one fundamental question which comes into mind is, why should you be looking at cloud? What advantages do we have? We can start from a very, we would probably categorize into three different points, but effectively we are asking that you are anyway running your infrastructure, you are having some hardware, but moving to a subscription-based hardware is a natural choice, and you have been doing it in so many areas over the years. And moving that infrastructure will help us in making sure that you are not going into the renewals of your hardware and other things. So this is all around cloud economics. So you are getting into a subscription model for that. The only difference with the OCI is that we have worked with the OCI team to make sure that our enterprise workload runs smoothly on a OCI platform, because we are talking about monolithic applications like eBusiness Suite, PeopleSoft, and they are very network centric, which means when we communicate from the forms or the OA framework back to the database, they require a good amount of network. They are not the modern generation application. The code base is still the one which is based on a network connection, which is available for us. So there's what we are talking about is like millisecond kind of a time. We have to get a response within that time and all of that. So we have fine-tuned the infrastructures to make sure that the eBusiness Suite can be run nicely on that. So that's one part why you should be looking at OCI. The second is having the same feature, the subscription model in a database option. So today you have to pay a perpetual license on database. Shifting over to the subscription model is one of the ways to look at it, and look it from if you have an Exadata, you have to buy those boxes and then you have to renew those boxes at certain time. All those problems are something which you're managing now. All of that can be a part of your subscription model, nothing like it. So that's the way we have to look at it, that you're going into more of a subscription model, and you're not putting your capital cost but more looking at an operational way to look at the cost. Now, we are also, one of the differentiator we have from a database point of view is because we do support RAG. So these RAG features are only available on OCI. You won't see this. It's not that we don't support database running on Amazon. We do support that, but it's only on a compute layer. But if you want to do RAG, then obviously those features are available on Oracle Cloud. High availability we are looking at, those are available on Oracle Cloud. And then going forward, autonomous. So e-business suite, we as a development organization, and especially my team has been involved in the autonomous work. We are leveraging autonomous. Is going to be some time before we can certify the e-business suite with autonomous, but that would be the way forward, that you come to e-business suite or start leveraging the platform services, and then eventually it takes you to the autonomous going forward. So that's the second reason. The third, I would say, is the automation, which we are building on e-business suite on OCI. And why it is important is, imagine that you are going to run this e-business suite for a long time, and you have to keep doing clonings, you have to keep doing patching, you have to keep doing all those mundane activities which are required for you to run an application. Now, if we can automate, it's not that you guys have not automated, but making sure that those automations can be centrally provided by us, so that when you move to the cloud, those are seamless operations. And it's important for us to make sure that those costs can be reduced for you in terms of managing those operations. So we are looking at those kind of features in the automation, only available on OCI. We have no plans to certify those automations on any other platform. So those are the three reasons I would put. One is the infrastructure as a subscription model. Second is database as a subscription model. And the third is the automation, which comes out of the box from e-business suite to run it on OCI. So, and on top of it, if you have it's a single vendor support for you, whether it's a hardware problem, whether it's a software problem, operating system problem, or it's like on the application side, all the three layers are connected. So we know which piece is making noise or which is not doing the right job, and we can track that down and then fix it for you. So that's the way we look at the support, single vendor support from an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Having said that, from an automation point of view, we have certain areas of investment which we are doing on the cloud side, and three broad areas. One is provisioning, which is like you want to create instances on Oracle Infrastructure OCI. And how do you go about that? How can I simply go and do some simple provisionings? Another area is to make sure that we can bring your on-prem instance to the cloud, which is a lift and shift operation. So your customizations, everything comes over. And the third is the lifecycle management, which are ongoing activities like doing clone, backup, restore, and all those kind of activities which are required for you to run, including disaster recovery, making sure you can monitor, do the patch management and application management. So all those kind of lifecycle activities fits into that. So we are doing automation in all three areas to make that happen, so that your cost of operation reduces. So I will start with the provisioning side. So in order for us to make this automation work, what we have is the Oracle Business Suite Cloud Manager. This is a new user interface which we have been providing on the cloud. And essentially it allows you to do these operations from a nice user interface. Now we are starting with the user interface, but it's not that just the user interface. If you have a big operations, meaning you are managing like 100 e-business suite instances, then obviously you need more automated fashion. So we are working on the REST interface also, so that you can run these operations by using a REST API as well. But from a user interface point of view, we have like advanced one-click provisioning. We have advanced provisioning, which we can do. You can do a lift and shift and then perform lifecycle activities. Now, this is all available from a user interface. And what this user interface does is really shows you all the environments which are being managed by Cloud Manager. So from a Cloud Manager point of view, we are looking at some of the enhancements also. We have enhanced the current UI. So some of the screenshots which I'm going to share are from the one which we are about to release. So we are in the testing cycle. So we have added some features in this current cycle of development. And once we complete the QA cycle, development cycle is over, we are in the quality assurance stage, we will be able to release that. So few things to highlight. We have a improved user interface on the Cloud Manager. The second thing is we have done is the demilitarized zone support, which was a feature which we have been supporting in on-prem world, but it's a quite complex one. So we will be supporting the demilitarized zone. And what it really means is that you can separate the traffic, your internal nodes versus the external nodes, and then make sure that your application affinity, if you're looking at, and the ability for you to add or delete a node on the multi-zone application can be performed. That's one set of enhancements we are currently working on. In certain areas of lifecycle managements, like upgrading the database, we are looking at horizontal scaling, meaning making sure that if you want to add a node or a delete a node can be done in an automated fashion. And then the extensibility framework. Now, this is also important because it's not just around provisioning a system or cloning a system, but you want to do some kind of operations after the cloning is done. And typically, we hear that as a post-cloning, I want to do some post-cloning activities, and I want to do run some scripts and things like that, which should be a part of your automation. So we are extending that framework so that with our flows, you can provide your extensions and we can run that for you. And then scheduling the backups, it's not just around backup, but making sure that they're scheduled at a time, and then automated standby. So if you have an e-business suite running and you want to create a standby on the cloud, then an automated version to make sure that we can configure the data guard, we can configure all the things required for that automated standby to work. And that inherently will bring in the reduced downtime because you're looking at data guard and synchronizing the system. So the reduced downtime comes into picture over there. So more recommended for production workload when you want to migrate, that you use a reduced downtime feature. So to go into the user interface on the Cloud Manager, this is the Cloud Manager interface. And you get to see all the environments which you're managing from the Cloud Manager. And here you will see we have a provision button. And on that, in the provision, you will see one click and an advanced option. So one click is one. And then if you drill down to the environment, we'll be able to show you what does the environment really comprises. So you have got the application tier, you've got a database tier, and on the application tier will show you that what kind of application, what kind of shape you're running it on. And then you have this add node and a delete node. This is what we are adding in the current testing cycle, so it should be available shortly. But essentially allowing you to add a node and then delete a node on the fly, and the application keeps running. That's kind of a signature feature for 12.2. So this is what we will be making sure that it works seamlessly for you. So making sure that the lifecycle activities can be carried out from a central page. Now here you see we have a backup policy also. So what we are doing is really automating the backups in a way that you can attach a policy to a backup. So let me pick up one of these features, which is the one click. So we go to the provision environment and look at one click. So one click is what you get, and it's really one click. But what we are doing really here is that providing an option that you can provision an e-business suite environment without doing any other choices but press a submit button. And why we say that is because we choose the vision database for you, we choose the latest version of e-business suite and the latest version of database to run on it. You have an option to change it, but if you want a quick environment, then you can go ahead and do a submit and we'll start provisioning the system for you. And these are very fast provisioning because we are just doing this on a compute layer, and then that can be used for lightweight workloads for you to keep like looking at what are the new features coming in the business suite in 12 to 10, let's say, and you don't have time, you can just install it quickly and then see the features list on it. So that's one click. We also have an advanced option. Now, it requires a separate session to go into the advanced option, but basically in the advanced option, there's a train kind of a menu. And what it does is that we ask you all the things around application tier. How many application tier do you really need? Do you want a demilitarized zone? How many nodes go into the internal node? How many nodes go into the external node? And then also we ask you, do you want us to execute some extensions in your flow, which is what I was talking about, the extension framework. We provision that environment for you, and then you review that information, and then the provisioning starts. Here you get an option to choose where you want to put the database. You can run the database either on compute or on virtual machine DB system or Exa system. That comes seamlessly. So we do the whole provisioning and of the Exadata systems and the virtual machine if you choose to deploy your database on those platforms. Now, how does the lift and shift really work? We can look at a lift and shift. This is not something new. You have been doing this, and we have just automated some of these exercises over here. So essentially what happens is that for us to do any of the like a migration, we have to take a backup. So what we do is we have a e-business suite, we have a backup module, which we ship on the on-premise, and we have the application tier, database tier. We take those backups, move those backups onto the object storage. Once that has been moved, we just provision from that backup. That's how the whole provisioning will work. And that's what we use in the lift and shift when we move your environments from on-prem to the cloud. And we configure those tiers, provision the infrastructure, restore from the backup, and configure the environment so that it's up and running for you, all managed by the cloud manager. Now that's your lift and shift. And if you look at what are we certifying, or where is it certified, the cloud manager, it's important to look at it because which versions, and this becomes a constant question for us. So we support 12.1.3 and we support 12.2.3 also, 12.2.3 and forward application. Just to remind on the support timelines again, this is important for you to understand because 12.1 premier support is ending in December. So you have to have a way to make sure either you purchase the market driven support and then look at how you manage during the transition phase, but essentially move either to the 12.2 version of the application or to the cloud application. Now, as far as the database versions are concerned, we support 3 today, 19C, 12C, and 11G. Now, 11G, obviously, there are some database also going through some timelines, which I will cover shortly. And then looking at from a database point of view, coming on to this topic of database versions on the 12.1 and 12.2, you've got 12.1, whose extended support is ending in July 31, 2022. So you have some runway. But we have extended the uplift fee for that till the extended period, which is July 31st, 2022. So if you're on 12.1.2, you have some more time to work out your strategy. But if you're running on database 11.2, the extended support is ending in December 31st, 2020, which means there has to be some plan which has to be made in terms of how do you go about it. We have extended the uplift support license uplift fee for this to make sure that you have it available till the December 31st, 2020, which is not that far. It's like a couple of weeks from now. But we have an ACS option for 11.204 database, which can run all the way from 2021 to 2022, which is for your ACS. Now, there are documents, Metalink notes, which can help you to go into the details of these uplift fee waiver. But it's mainly for e-business suite instances. So we are talking about e-business suite only here. We are not talking about like PeopleSoft or database you're using for any other thing. Now, as far as the database on 12.1 is concerned, we have EBS database, especially on 12.1. If you're running on a PaaS system, the extended support, same timelines, July 31st, 2022 is available for you. The fees, uplift fees, wait for that. And you have a Metalink note how to go through it, and then you can plan accordingly. But the important part is that if you're moving from 12.1 to 19C on the cloud, then what are the options? So we have recently announced the Exadata DB system upgrade. So you can upgrade from 12.1 of the database to the 12.1 to the 19C. Now this upgrade is both with the releases. We have a separate Metalink note, and you can go through that. On the cloud manager side, if you're running the cloud manager, then you have to, because the cloud manager won't know that you have done a manual upgrade of the database. So what we tell you is that you run a script, and then the database cloud manager gets updated with the metadata. And then the cloud manager also knows how to manage a 19C database. Now, the important part is to look at 11.2 because we are running out of time on 11.2. So few announcements here. First of all, the extended support is till 31st March 2021, which means your extended support license Uplift fee is waived only for e-business suite systems, not for anything else. Now, what we have done is that you can extend it beyond that from 1st April to 31st December. The reason for that is that we don't really have, we are still working on how to upgrade 11.2 to the 19C and all that. So that is such some work which you have to do on the DB PaaS system, basically on the VMDB side. So 1st April to 31st December, we have no charges for EBS customers, and this will cover mainly around your customers' CVAT1 bug fixes and the security updates. And it applies to VMDB, XRDB system, Exadata Cloud at customer from 1st April to 31st December 2021. No charges for eBusiness Suite customers running eBusiness Suite databases. On 1st of January, this all will end. So this is something where you have to do the extra planning and make sure that you are out of the 11.2.4 database as quickly as possible or have a plan. Now, what we have is that if you are moving from 11.2 to 19C, we have an Exadata DB system, which is instructions available how to upgrade from 11.2.4 to 19C, and both for the 12.1 and 12.1 of the application and for 12.2 separately. Again, Cloud Manager has to be updated for that. Now, on the VMDB system, since the work on upgrading from 11.2.4 to 19C is still in progress, what are the options? So options are that if you're on-prem, and you're looking to move to the cloud, then we would recommend you to upgrade from 11.2 to 19C on-prem and then do a lift and shift to the VMDB. And that way, when you do a lift and shift, you can move to the VMDB or XR system at that point in time. Option 2 is really you lift your current system to the cloud and then upgrade 11.2 to 19C using the on-premise upgrade document. And then once you've done that, update the Cloud Manager to reflect that you're running on 19C. And once you're on the compute layer, then you can do a lift and shift. Now, all this we talked about the platform services which we are supporting. So again comes what platform are we supporting? Now, these are all Linux which we are targeting for the Cloud Manager, all the flavors of the Linux. So what if you are running not running Linux? Then your options is really that you have to go through a migration. And we have documents describing how to go about that, and that can bring you directly to the cloud. Now, what if once you move to the cloud, what we would suggest you is to do a lift and shift so that we can bring that system into the Cloud Manager. We have a discovery feature which we are working on, which will automatically discover your manually created environments on the cloud and which can bring it to the Cloud Manager so that you can do the lifecycle activities in a more automated fashion. But for right now, if you are in a hurry, then you can just do a lift and shift, move to the respective services, and then the Cloud Manager takes over. So if you're looking for additional information, we have all this. If you're looking for licensing or the purchasing of EBS, we are still seeing some licenses growing in eBusiness Suite. So if you're looking at expanding your usage, these are the mailing list you can refer to and any licensing help you need. If you're looking more for information, we have all the information centrally available at www.oracle.com/EBS. And there are two kinds of information. One are the recorded presentations from the development, and another set of information is the transfer of information, TOIs, which we record from time to time. If you're looking for some learnings, which we record these presentations from whatever comes from the development, we record those presentations. Those also are available on the learning channels. Now, if you're looking at the advanced customer service, then these are the MetaLink note, which you can go through the contract services, but essentially looking at CVAT1 and CVAT2 fixes. You can go for 12.1.3 MDS, and then you can market-driven support for 11.2.4. These are the details available. And you can go through that and look at it. But it's important to understand all these things because you're taking investment forward in an eBusiness Suite. So let's look at the takeaways from this. So broadly, we have two takeaways. One is that if you're running on 12.2, you have a substantial value now because you have an online patching, which can help you reduce the downtime. You have a functional innovation, which we have been investing on 12.1. Since 12.1, we have spent almost 10 years doing that. And the Enterprise Command Center, which is a value add on 12.2. And it has a longest premium support available at least till 2031. So you are assured of your services till that period. So recommendation is that 12.2 is the release to be on. Now, if you are on 12.1, you have to really look at options and plan it out very well. That 12-month premium support is ending, first of all, in December 2021. And then you have to look at market driven support. So at that point in time, during that window, when you're going for the market driven support, probably we are supporting to ensure that you can get out of that application and then either upgrade yourself to the 12.2 or look at our SaaS application offerings to move out to the SaaS application at that point in time. So with that, I have pretty much that's what I wanted to share. So thank you for joining the sessions. And Sai, I'm not sure we have time for the question and answer, but if we have time, we can certainly take few questions.
Thank you very much, Vishal. I think there are 9 questions. Maybe if you can answer one or two, that will be really great. You can pick questions from the Q&A. You
Okay.
can see bottom of the screen here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at those questions. Uh, so the first question is really what are the scope after 2031? Now, what we are doing is just to answer this question is that we are adding releases as we go forward. So we have like a 12 to 10 coming out, we have a 12 to 11 coming out. So till we keep adding these releases, we'll ensure that there's a rolling 10-year cycle of support available for that application to run. Now, at some point in time, we'll have to figure out a way that, let's say it is 12 to some release 15 where we end the support, then you've got 10-year window after that. So that's how we are looking at e-business suite support. There's another question which is coming that e-business suite, we are not seeing the e-business suite financials being picked up, and what are the reasons? And I will certainly take this feedback back to the financials team that why are they not picking up, because the criteria is still the same, that we should be looking at the customer driven enhancements which have the highest votes, and that's the whole idea. So I will certainly take your feedback and relate to the financials team to look at it more proactively. I can take one more question. Any plans for zero downtime? These days organizations are aggressive even for predictable downtime. It's a good question, and actually we are working on that. So what you will see is that with the autonomous feature coming into picture, we are looking at how we can minimize the downtime of an application, because your database doesn't go down. And then we are looking at how we can minimize the downtime on the application side today, and which is like ensuring that your application keeps running, although we have like concurrent programs and other jobs which are doing. So we are actually working on that right now as we speak, and reduce the downtime further. Now, can we really bring it down to zero? There are some challenges in that. We have to look at upgrading the stack itself. So with the 12C version of the middleware, we have those capabilities which will come into picture where we will be able to do some of those activities. So certainly we are looking at that plan to do that. I am looking at another question, which is any plan to have cloning automation using a snapshot for database using ASM on OCI? Very good question. Now, just to share some background on that, we have cloning which is available only on the compute side, not on the ASM on OCI. ASM team is working on providing a clone feature on the database side, both for the Exadata as well as for the ASM. Just to share some data point, we have designs which are in place, we are implementing. So it will be some time before it's available, but we are certainly working on it, on making sure that the clone feature is available on Exadata as well as on the VMDB systems for the RAC ASM based systems. So probably, Sai, let me know if you have some more time to pick a few more questions, but how are we doing?
Yeah, I think what we can do is, Vishal, we will share these questions. If you can answer offline, and we will share it back to these users, or we can update in a website. That's a better way of doing it.
I will,
You know,
I will take just one question, Sai. It's an
sure,
important,
sure.
that will we be ever having release 12.3, because this question we keep see coming, or a EBS 13. No, we are not going to have any time. We have no plans to do 12.3 anymore. So no more EBS upgrade. You will be moving to an EBS 12.2 version. We'll swap your application server behind the scene by the strategy which I explained. There will not be any upgrade for 12.2 anymore. We are going to build all the functional enhancements on top of 12.2 release itself. So no plans to do 12.3 or EBS 13. So no more upgrade on EBS side. Okay. I'm done, Sai.
Yeah, so I think we can spend 2 minutes if you want to pick any easy questions, or that is absolutely fine, because I think answering these EBS questions are really good for the community.
Good. Let me pick a few more. So, can we discover existing EBS running on OCI using Cloud Manager? Actually, this feature is, we have just completed the feature. It's available right now only internally. We are testing it with our internal teams like Oracle Managed Cloud Services and other. We will be making it public. But essentially, if you have created an environment using manual instructions on your own, or you did something and you somehow were able to bring your systems over the cloud, then we will be providing a discovery feature where the cloud manager will look at your system, discover it, and make it as a part of the cloud manager. And at that point in time, you can perform your lifecycle activities using the cloud manager. That's the idea. And it's coming soon. It's not that far away, this feature. WebLogic 12c, 14c, yes, it's on our roadmap as I shared with you. WebLogic will be upgrading to 12c. By the time we complete our project, most likely runtime will be 14c for us. So it's on the roadmap. We are actually working as in the development cycle, going through the iterations of making sure that the clones and other things on the 14c are in place. What we need is all good for e-business suite. We are looking at that. So that development cycle is going on certainly. So we'll be moving to 12c or 14c version of the WebLogic also. Another one which comes is that Cloud Manager, can you share where can I learn more? I would suggest there's a meta link note, but if you go from EBS, there's a blog article on EBS on OCI. And we have, if you go to the EBS main page, which is oracle.com/EBS, you can get information about Cloud Manager from there, and you can look at the details. Another interesting question is there any license fee for Cloud Manager? No, Cloud Manager is free. It comes with the e-business suite licenses, so it's no longer, it doesn't require any extra cost for us to pick up for Cloud Manager. Any other question I can look at? Uh, Planning to, I think we have picked up most of the questions. And
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Vishal. I don't know how to say thank you for coming and spending valuable time with us, and lot of information to digest, especially on the e-business. So thank you very much for sharing that. Strategy and the roadmap is very important for us to support the customers. Now time for a quiz and just test your knowledge. So I think there are compliance. I'm not keeping this screen for more time, so I'm keeping for 30 seconds more. So please scan this QR code, and you get actually chance to win the prizes. Also otherwise, if you don't have phone, please use a Bitly link. I'll just keep 5 more seconds so that you guys can actually scan. Or you can, is the best thing is just take a screenshot and scan in later. Okay, so again, I'll skip this one. We'll talk later about this program, and we have actually update on this program, how many points you can see currently from the dashboard. And the next session is coming from, Vishal was referring multiple times Mohanado's session on Oracle Business Suite Enterprise Command Centers. So it's very important topic. Please join in 15 minutes. So with that, thank you very much, Vishal, and hope we'll see you in person in Sangam 21 at Bangalore. Thank you very much. With that, we are closing this session.
thanks for all the participants who joined us. Thank you guys. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you very much.